Yaman ud-Dawla Abul Qasim Mahmud ibn Sabuktigin, more commonly known as Mahmud of Ghazni, also known as Mahmud I Zabuli, was the most prominent ruler of the Ghaznavid Empire. He conquered the eastern Iranian lands and the northwestern Indian subcontinent from 997 to his death in 1030. Mahmud turned the former provincial city of Ghazna into the wealthy capital of an extensive empire which covered most of today's Afghanistan, eastern Iran, and Pakistan, by looting the riches and wealth from the then Indian subcontinent. He was the first ruler to carry the title Sultan, signifying the extent of his power, though preserving the ideological link to the suzerainty of the Abbasid Caliphate. During his rule, he invaded and plundered parts of Hindustan 17 times. Early life and origin. Mahmud was born on Thursday, 10 Muharram, 361 R, November 2, 971 CE in the town of Ghazna in medieval Khorasan. His father Sabuktigin was a Turkic Mamluk who founded the Ghaznavid dynasty. His mother was the daughter of a Persian aristocrat from Zabulistan family. Sultan Mahmud was born on the 2nd of November 971 AD in Ghazni to first Ghaznavid Sultan Sabuktigin, Yusuf Sabuktigin being his younger brother. He was married to a woman named Kausari Jahan and had twin sons Muhammad and Masud, who succeeded him one after the other, while his grandson by Masud, Mahmud Ghaznavi, was also ruler of the empire. His sister Sitri Mu'alla was married to Dawud bin Atullah Alavi, also known as Ghazi Salah Sahu, whose son was Ghazi Sayyad Salah Masood. Mahmud's companion was a Georgian slave Malik Ayaz, and their same-sex relationship inspired poems and stories. Early career. In 994, Mahmud joined his father Sabuktigin in the capture of Khorasan from the rebel Faiq in aid of the Samanid Emir, Nuh. During this period, the Samanid Empire became highly unstable, with shifting internal political tides as various factions vied for control, the chief among them being Abu al-Qasim Simjuri, Faiq, Abu Ali, the general Bektarzan, as well as the neighboring Buyid dynasty and Kara Khanate Khanate. Reign. Mahmud took over his father's kingdom in 998 after defeating and capturing Ismail at the Battle of Ghazni. He then set out west from Ghazni to take the Kandahar region, followed by Bos, where he turned it into a militarized city. Mahmud initiated the first of numerous invasions of North India. On November 28, 1001, his army fought and defeated the army of Raja Jayapala of the Kabul Shahis at the Battle of Peshawar. In 1002, Mahmud invaded Sistan and dethroned of Caliph Ibn Ahmad, ending the Safarid dynasty. From there he decided to focus on Hindustan to the southeast, particularly the highly fertile lands of the Punjab region. Mahmud's first campaign to the south was against an Ismaili state first established at Multan in 965 by a decree from the Fatimid Caliphate in a bid to carry political favor and recognition with the Abbasid Caliphate. He also engaged with the Fatimids elsewhere. At this point, Jayapala attempted to gain revenge for an earlier military defeat at the hands of Mahmud's father, who had controlled Ghazni in the late 980s and had cost Jayapala extensive territory. His son Anandapala succeeded him and continued the struggle to avenge his father's suicide. He assembled a powerful confederacy which faced defeat as his elephant turned back from the battle in a crucial moment, turning the tide into Mahmud's favor once more at Lahore in 1008, bringing Mahmud into control of the Shahi dominions of Udbampura. Ghaznavid campaigns in Indian subcontinent following the defeat of the Rajput Confederacy, after deciding to retaliate for their combined resistance. He also vowed to raid and loot the wealthy region of northwestern India every year. In 1001, Mahmud of Ghazni had first invaded modern Afghanistan and Pakistan. Mahmud defeated, captured and later released the Shahi ruler Jayapala, who had moved his capital to Peshawar. Jayapala killed himself and was succeeded by his son Anandapala. In 1005 Mahmud of Ghazni invaded Bhatia, and in 1006 he invaded Multan, at which time Anandapala's army attacked him. The following year Mahmud of Ghazni attacked and crushed Sukapala, ruler of Bathinda. In 1013, during Mahmud's 8th expedition into eastern Afghanistan and Pakistan, the Shahi kingdom was overthrown. In 1014 Mahmud led an expedition to Thanissar. The next year he unsuccessfully attacked Kashmir. In 1018, he attacked Mathura and defeated a coalition of rulers there while also killing a ruler called Chandrapala. In 1021 Mahmud supported the Kanayu king against Chandelaganda, who was defeated. That same year Shahi Trilochanapala was killed at Raib and his son Bhimapala succeeded him. Lahore was annexed by Mahmud. Mahmud besieged Gwalior in 1023, where he given tribute. Mahmud attacked Somnath in 1025, and its ruler Bhimadeva I fled. The next year, he captured Somnath and marched to Karksh against Bhimadeva. That same year Mahmud also attacked the Jat people of Jud. The Indian kingdoms of Nagakot, Thanissar, Kanayu, Gwalior, and Ujjain were all conquered and left in the hands of Hindu, Jain and Buddhist kings as vassal states, and he was pragmatic enough not to shirk making alliances and enlisting local peoples into his armies at all ranks. Destroying the temples and monuments would destroy the willpower of the Hindus attacking the empire, since Mahmud never kept a permanent presence in the northwestern subcontinent. Nagakot, Thanissar, Mathura, Kanayu, Kalanjar and Somnath all submitted or were raided. Mahmud's armies stripped the temples of their wealth completely and then destroyed them at Maheshwar, Jwalamukhi, Narunkit and Dwarka. During the period of Mahmud invasion, the Sindhi Swaranka community and other Hindus who escaped conversion fled from Sindh to escape sectarian violence. Political challenges. The last 4 years of Mahmud's life were spent contending with the influx of Oghuz and Seljuk Turks from Central Asia and the Buyid dynasty. Initially the Seljuks were repulsed by Mahmud and retired to Khwarezm, but Togrul and Kagri led them to capture Mervin Nishapur. Later they repeatedly raided and traded territory with his successors across Khorasan and Balkh, and even sacked Ghazni in 1037. In 1040 at the Battle of Dandanakan, they decisively defeated Mahmud's son, Masud I, resulting in Masud abandoning most of his western territories to the Seljuks. Sultan Mahmud died on 30 April 1030. His mausoleum is located in Ghazni, Afghanistan. Campaign timeline: as Emir 994. Gained the title of Saif ad-Dawla and became governor of Khorasan under service to Nuh of the Samanid Empire in civil strife. 995. The Samanid rebels Faiq and Abu Ali expel Mahmud from Nishapur. Mahmud and Sabuktijan defeat Samanid rebels at Tus. As Sultan 997. Kara Khanid Khanate. 999. Khorasan, Balkh, Herat, Merv from the Samanids. A concurrent invasion from the north by the Kara Khanids under Ali Khan ends Samanid rule. 1000. Sistan from Safarid dynasty. 1001. Gandhara. Sultan Mahmud defeats Raja Jayapala at Peshawar. Jayapala subsequently abdicates and commits suicide. 1002. Sistan. Imprisoned Khulaf. 1004. Bhatia annexed after it fails to pay its yearly tribute. In 1004 CE. 1005-6. Multan. Fateh Daud, the Ismaili ruler of Multan, revolts and enlists the aid of Anandapala. Mahmud massacres the Ismailis of Multan in the course of his conquest. Anandapala is defeated at Peshawar and pursued to Sodra. Ghor and Muhammad ibn Suri, then captured by Mahmud, made prisoner along with his son and taken to Ghazni, where Muhammad ibn Suri died. Appoints Suakpal to administer the region. Anandapala flees to Kashmir, fought in the hills on the western border of Kashmir. 1005. Defends Balkan Khorasan against Nasiri of the Kara Khanate Khanate and recaptures Nishapur from Ishmi Muntazir of the Samanids. 1005. Suakpal rebels and is defeated. 1008. Mahmud defeats the Rajput Indian Confederacy in battle between Und and Peshawar, and captures the Shahi treasury at Kangra, Himachal Pradesh. Note: a historical narrative states in this battle, under the onslaught of the Gakas, Mahmud's army was about to retreat when King Anandapala's elephant took flight and turned the tide of the battle. 1010. Ghor against Amir Sari. 1010. Multan revolts. Abul Futtah Dawood imprisoned for life at Ghazni. 1012–1013. Sacks Thanissar. 1012. Invades Gharkistan and deposes its ruler Abu Nasser Muhammad. 1012. Demands and receives remainder of the province of Khorasan from the Abbasid Caliph. Then demands Samarkand as well but is rebuffed. 1013. Bonnet defeats Trilochanpala. 1014. Kafiristan attacked. 1015. Mahmud's army sacks Lahore, but his expedition to Kashmir fails, due to inclement weather. 1015. Khwarizm marries his sister to Abul Abbas Mamun of Khwarizm, who dies in the same year in a rebellion, moves to quell the rebellion and installs a new ruler and annexes a portion. 1017. Kanayu, Meerut, and Mahavoon on the Yamuna, Mathura and various other regions along the route. While moving through Kashmir he levies troops from vassal prince for his onward march. Kanayu and Meerut submitted without battle. 1018–1020. Sacks the town of Mathura. 1021. Raises Ayaz to kingship, awarding him the throne of Lahore. 1021. Kalanjar attacks Kanayu. He marches to their aid and finds the last Shahi king, Trilochanpala, encamped as well. No battle, the opponents leave their baggage trains and withdraw from the field. Also fails to take the fort of Lokot again. Takes Lahore on his return. Trilochanpala flees to Ajmer. First Muslim governors appointed east of the Indus River. 1023. Lahore. He forces Kalanjar and Gwalior to submit and pay tribute. Trilochanpala, the grandson of Jayapala, is assassinated by his own troops. Official annexation of Punjab by Ghazni. Also fails to take the Lohara fort on the western border of Kashmir for the second time. 1024. Ajmer, Nerwala, Kathiawar. This raid was his last major campaign. The concentration of wealth at Somnath was renowned, and consequently it became an attractive target for Mahmud, as it had previously deterred most invaders. The temple and citadel were sacked, and most of its defenders massacred. 1024. Somnath. Mahmud sacked the temple and is reported to have personally hammered the temple's gilded lingam to pieces, and the stone fragments were carted back to Ghazni, where they were incorporated into the steps of the city's new Jama Masjid in 1026. He placed a new king on the throne in Gujarat as a tributary. His return detoured across the Thar Desert to avoid the armies of Ajmer and other allies on his return. 1025. Marched against the Jats of the Dude Mountains, who harried his army on its return from the sack of Somnath. 1027. Ray, Isfahan, Hamadan from the Buyids dynasty. 1028. 1029. Merv, Nishapur lost to Seljuk dynasty. Attitude towards religious freedom. Following Mahmud's recognition by the Abbasid Caliphate in 999, he pledged a jihad and to raid India every year. In 1005 CE, Mahmud conducted a series of campaigns during which the Ismailis of Multan were massacred. However, modern historians, such as Thapa, Richard M. Eaton etc., have portrayed a different view of Mahmud as far as his religious policy is concerned. Thapa wrote, "Of the mercenaries, not an insubstantial number were Indians and presumably Hindus. Indian soldiers under their commander, referred to as Suvendri, remained loyal to Mahmud. They had their own commander, the Sapatalari Hinduan, lived in their own quarter in Ghazni and continued with their religion. When the Turkish commander of the troops rebelled, the command was given to a Hindu, Tilak, and he is commended for his loyalty. Complaints are made about the severity with which Muslims and Christians were killed by Indian troops fighting for Mahmud in Sistan. Muhammad Habib states that there was no imposition of jizya on non-Muslims during the reign of Mahmud of Ghazni, nor any mention of forced conversions. His expeditions against India were not motivated by religion but by love of plunder, destruction of Somnath temple. Mahmud conquered and destroyed thousands of Hindu temples during his raids, including the famous Somnath temple, which he destroyed in 1025 AD, killing over 50,000 people who tried to defend it. Mahmud had the gilded lingam broken into pieces and had them made into steps for his mosque and palace. Ramesh Chandra Majumdar states in ancient India, the priests of the temple implored him to protect the image and even wanted to pay a handsome ransom. The reply of the Sultan, Mahmud, was characteristic of the man. He said that he would rather be remembered as the breaker than the seller of idols, and with his own hand broke the image, probably a Sivalinga, to pieces. Historiography concerning Somnath. Historians including Romila Thapa, A.K. Majumdar and Richard M. Eaton have questioned the iconoclastic historiography of this incident. Thapa quoted Majmudar, but, as is well known, Hindu sources do not give any information regarding the raids of Sultan Mahmud, so that what follows is based solely on the testimony of Muslim authors. Thapa also argued against the prevalent narrative, yet in a curiously contradictory manner. The Turco-Persian narratives were accepted as historically valid, and even their internal contradictions were not given much attention, largely because they approximated more closely to the current European sense of history than did the other sources. Legacy. Mahmud of Ghazni. Under his reign the region broke away from the Samanid sphere of influence. While he acknowledged the Abbasids as caliph as a matter of form, he was also granted the title Sultan as recognition of his independence. By the end of his reign, the Ghaznavid Empire extended from Ray in the west to Samarkand in the northeast, and from the Caspian Sea to the Yamuna. Although his raids carried his forces across the South Asia, only a portion of Punjab and Sindh in modern-day Pakistan came under his semi-permanent rule. Kashmir, the Doab, Rajasthan and Gujarat remained under the control of the local Hindu dynasties. The booty brought back to Ghazni was enormous, and contemporary historians give descriptions of the magnificence of the capital, as well as of the conqueror's munificent support of literature. He transformed Ghazni, the first center of Persian literature, into one of the leading cities of Central Asia, patronizing scholars, establishing colleges, laying out gardens, and building mosques, palaces, and caravansaries. Mahmud brought whole libraries from Rayy and Isfahan to Ghazni. He even demanded that the Khwarazm Shah court send its men of learning to Ghazni. Mahmud patronized the notable poet Ferdowsi, who after laboring 27 years, went to Ghazni and presented the Shahnameh to him. There are various stories in medieval texts describing the lack of interest shown by Mahmud in Ferdowsi and his life's work. According to historians, Mahmud had promised Ferdowsi a dinar for every distiche written in the Shahnameh, but later retracted and presented him with dirhams, the equivalent at that time of only 200 dinars. His expedition across the Gangetic Plains in 1017 inspired al-Biruni to compose his Tarikh al-Hind in order to understand the Indians and their beliefs. During Mahmud's rule, universities were founded to study various subjects such as mathematics, religion, the humanities, and medicine. On the 30th of April 1030, Sultan Mahmud died in Ghazni, at the age of 59. Sultan Mahmud had contracted malaria during his last invasion. The medical complication from malaria had caused lethal tuberculosis. The Ghaznavid Empire was ruled by his successors for 157 years. The expanding Seljuk Empire absorbed most of the Ghaznavid West. The Ghurids captured Ghazni in 1150 AD, and Mu'izz al-Din captured the last Ghaznavid stronghold at Lahore in 1187. Modern view of Mahmud. The military of Pakistan has named its short-range ballistic missile in the honor of Mahmud of Ghazni, the Ghaznavi missile. In addition to this, the Pakistan Military Academy, where cadets are trained for becoming officers of the Pakistan Army, also gives tribute to Mahmud of Ghazni by naming one of its 12 companies, Ghaznavi Company.